It was all about who is making bigger movies, who has more definition in their muscles, who has more box office success, who kills more people, who has bigger guns. And at the end, I started running around with machine guns that were only used for helicopters, mounting on helicopters or on tanks. It was crazy. It was all-out war.
In the 1980s and 90s, there were two larger-than-life actors who dominated the action movies of Hollywood. I'm of course talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. Between them, they created some of the most iconic movie characters in history. Rocky Balboa, Rambo, Conan, and the Terminator are just a few among the many memorable roles they played. Today, these guys are in their 70s. Both are still making movies, often together. They're friendly with one another and okay with being the butt of the joke.
This lady's in labor!
Cut! Arnold? Got a bit of a script change.
But it wasn't always that way. In their prime, they had a pretty big rivalry and battled it out at the box office.
Sly and I were at war.
He wanted to be number one. Unfortunately, he got there.
Being a big fan of them both, I wanted to look back at their careers, break down their movies by decade, find out who was more critically acclaimed, and decide who had more cultural impact. And at the end, I'll declare a winner in the battle of Arnold versus Stallone.
It's showtime.
First, let's take a quick look back at the lives and careers of these two. Sylvester Stallone was born in 1946 in New York City's Hell's Kitchen, the son of an Italian immigrant. Complications during his birth caused a nerve in his face to be clipped, giving him slight paralysis to the left side of his face, which for many years was detrimental to his life and career, giving him a slur to his speech.
Oh, look, Doc, I just can't do it. I'm never learned to speak good.
But over time, it has become his unique acting signature. He grew up extremely poor with an abusive father. His escape was the movies, spending much of his free time at the theater. He grew up idolizing muscled movie stars like Steve Reeves and became interested in acting. During his college years, he got a role in The Death of a Salesman. He was so good, a professor encouraged him to consider a career as an actor. It was a major turning point in his life. After school, he moved back to New York and struggled to find roles on stage and screen. Casting agents could only see him as a thug, so he was only able to book small roles like that. His struggle led him to write screenplays. He wrote dozens of them, in an effort to create roles for himself. A small breakthrough came in 1974 when he was cast as one of the leads in The Lords of Flatbush, alongside a young Henry Winkler. The two became lifelong friends. The next year, he had a small role in the Roger Corman post-apocalyptic racing film, Death Race 2000. But his big break was about to come. During this time, he'd written the script for Rocky, and was getting serious interest in making it into a film. Sly's one caveat was that he wanted to play the title role, but producers didn't want to do that, and offered him up to $250,000 for the script alone.
You know what? Because I did real good last night, and you should have seen me.
Big deal.
You should have seen me too.
Stallone stood strong in his beliefs, eventually getting his way, and the rest is history. The film became a monster success, and Stallone was a movie star overnight. His next two films, Fist, which he had a hand in rewriting, and Paradise Alley, which he wrote, directed, and starred in, both flopped pretty badly, and Sly was in danger of quickly losing his shine. So he went back to the well and wrote, directed, and starred in his most iconic role in Rocky II, which was also a huge success.
Is he serious?
He'd continue to play Rocky Balboa in 4 more sequels, and 2 more times in the spin-off series Creed, giving an entire lifetime to the character. His next big role would come in 1982 with First Blood, where Stallone played Vietnam veteran John Rambo, who was pushed to the edge and forced to retaliate to a dirty small-town cop, played by Brian Dennehy. In the book the film is based on, Rambo kills without mercy, but Stallone didn't think that would work in the film and insisted the filmmakers soften him a little bit, and he would only injure the cops chasing him instead. He also wanted the ending of the film changed, from Rambo dying to giving him a bit of an upbeat ending. The producers of the film test-screened the film with the unhappy ending, and the film failed with audiences. Once they changed it on Stallone's suggestion, the film worked like gangbusters, and it was a big box office hit.
Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!
It wasn't my war!
That character became a motion picture hero, and Stallone has played Rambo in 4 more sequels. When not portraying Rocky or Rambo, Stallone's 1980s and 90s were all over the place. He had modest hit action films like Cobra, Tango and Cash, Cliffhanger, Demolition Man, The Specialist, and Assassins. But he also had some major head-scratching bombs like Rhinestone, a country music comedy team-up with Dolly Parton, the reviled farce Oscar, and the abominably received Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Mommy, I don't want to be changed.
I've got to change you.
With his action stardom kind of fizzling out towards the end of the 90s, he made the well-reviewed drama Copland, where he infamously gained weight and held his own in scenes with acting legends Robert De Niro and Harvey Keitel. In the early 2000s, he made a couple more major duds like Driven and ICU, only really returning to glory when he resurrected the roles that made him famous in the legacy sequels Rocky Balboa and Rambo.
I mean, maybe some of you guys got something you never finished, something you really want to do, something you never said to somebody, something. And you're told no, even after you pay your dues. Who's got the right to tell you that? Who? Nobody.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was born in 1947 in Austria. His father was a policeman and a member of the Nazi Party during World War II. As was the custom at the time, his parents were extremely strict, and young Arnold and his brother were regularly beaten when they misbehaved. Arnold couldn't wait to escape from his family life, and during his teenage years became obsessed with bodybuilding and the movies, with muscle-bound stars like Reg Park and Steve Reeves inspiring him. An early connection he shared with Stallone. He got very good at bodybuilding and saw it as his way out. He began to regularly win bodybuilding competitions, and in 1968, at the age of 21, he moved to America, where he trained at Gold's Gym in Venice Beach. Arnold went on to win Mr. Olympia in 1970, becoming the youngest to ever do so, and won it 6 more times in total after that, along with Mr. Universe 4 times, making him one of the most successful bodybuilders ever. During this time, Arnold's love of the movies came into play as he tried to build an acting career. Arnold had to overcome his strong Austrian accent, and his huge muscles were seen as a detriment in the 70s, when small actors like Dustin Hoffman and Al Pacino were all the rage. His first role came in the 1970 film Hercules in New York, playing the role his hero Steve Reeves had made famous. In the film, he was credited as Arnold Strong, and his accent was so thick that the filmmakers dubbed over his voice for the original release of the film. He played small roles in the Elliott Gould film The Long Goodbye, and a TV movie Happy Anniversary and Goodbye, alongside TV legend Lucille Ball, who worked hard with Arnold, teaching him many of the ins and outs of Hollywood. The two struck up an unlikely friendship for the rest of Lucille's life. In 1975, when he was working towards his 6th straight Mr. Olympia championship, a couple of documentary filmmakers approached him with the idea of following his journey in the film that would become Pumping Iron. The film became a modest hit for a documentary about a niche subject.
I always felt like my place is America. And when I was 10 years old, I only dreamed of coming to America and being the greatest and just being different than everybody else.
And then in 1976, he played a bodybuilder in the Jeff Bridges drama Stay Hungry, and continued to get small roles in movies and TV until his big break in 1982's Conan the Barbarian. Director John Milius kept Arnold quiet and reserved for most of the film, letting his muscles and physicality do most of the work. The film was a hit, and they quickly followed up the success of that film with the sequel, Conan the Destroyer, which didn't quite have the same impact at the box office, but his next iconic role came out that same year, in which Arnold played the titular Terminator in the 1984 James Cameron film. Arnold is thoroughly terrifying in his unnerving robotic performance, making you fully believe that Sarah Connor's life is in serious danger in this damn near perfect sci-fi action film. From there, Arnold's career took off, and he had an incredible decade-plus run, becoming the #1 movie star in the world at his heights, with memorable action films like Commando, Predator, and The Running Man. He made a move towards comedy with the 1988 Ivan Reitman film Twins, where he hilariously plays Danny DeVito's twin brother, as they set off on a road trip adventure to find their mother.
Come again?
My name is Julius, and I'm your twin brother.
Oh, obviously. The moment I sat down, I thought I was looking into a mirror.
We are not identical twins.
following that up with the well-made sci-fi film Total Recall and the action comedy Kindergarten Cop. He hit his apex with 1991's Terminator 2, where he once again portrays the killer cyborg, but this time as the good guy.
Come with me if you want to live.
Arnold's 90s were a little more tumultuous, following it up with the box office bomb Last Action Hero, reteaming with James Cameron for his last major hit True Lies, but then seemed to lose a lot of momentum after that with the poor comedy Junior, and a series of action films that had a diminishing return at the box office. And although it made good money, he got roasted pretty hard in 1997 for his cringe-worthy performance as Mr. Freeze in Batman and Robin.
In this universe, there's only one absolute. Everything freezes.
Soon after this, his attention was surprisingly directed towards politics, and in 2003 he became the 38th governor of California. He remained mostly retired from movies at this time, returning to movies in 2010 in the Sylvester Stallone written and directed action star team-up, The Expendibles.
I'm back.
How you doing, Trench?
They joined forces again in 2 more Expendables sequels and the 2013 prison movie Escape Plan. Arnold's 2010s and beyond have been mostly forgettable, outside of 2 more Terminator sequels. He made a decent zombie drama with Maggie, and some poorly received action films like Aftermath and Why We're Killing Gunther. Stallone's post-2010s have been a lot more successful, being the creator of the Expendables franchise, which has spawned 4 films so far, returning as Rocky Balboa in 2 Creed films, and getting into the comic book film craze. He was cast by James Gunn 3 times, with small roles in 2 Guardians of the Galaxy films, and voiced King Shark in The Suicide Squad. He also played Rambo for likely the last time in Rambo: Last Blood, which was poorly received by audiences and critics. Beyond that, he's made quite a few forgettable films. Both of these action heroes continue to make films today, as their names and faces on posters will always sell movies to older audiences.
He lies.
In this country, he has that God-given right.
Now that we've gotten to know them a little better, let's move into the versus side of the video and determine once and for all who is the victor in Arnold versus Stallone.
And I went, okay, the gauntlet is done. And this began a 10-year battle royale.
Wow.
I mean, we couldn't stand to be in the same galaxy.
First, we'll take a look at pure numbers. Which of them has made more movies? Arnold has 78 acting credits on IMDb, starring in 31 films, and has a lead supporting role in 7 more. He's produced or executive produced 6 of his own films and a handful of TV shows and documentaries. Stallone has 97 acting credits on IMDb, starring in 45 films, and has been in a lead supporting role in 16 more. He's written 18 films and directed and produced 8 more, giving him a pretty easy win, putting Stallone up 1-0.
Yeah, but it's just a little one.
Now to the box office of all those movies. Arnold's 31 starring films have made over $4.1 billion worldwide. His number 1 film being Terminator 2, with a gross a little over $500 million. Stallone's 45 starring films have also made $4.1 billion. Just $3 million more when you get down to it. His number 1 film being Rambo: First Blood Part 2, making just over $300 million, with Rocky IV just behind that. What really puts Stallone over the top here is his supporting roles, making almost another $3.5 billion, while Arnold's hovers around $1 billion. Add on to the fact that Stallone wrote and/or directed many of his biggest hit films, giving him triple duty. Another round of Stallone, he leads 2-0.
Well, I'm very happy about that.
Now moving into the decades, let's start in the 1970s when they both started their acting careers. Stallone wins this decade pretty handedly, having written and starred in the critically acclaimed and box office smash Rocky and its well-regarded follow-up Rocky II, along with some decent roles in the cult classic Death Race 2000, and writing, directing, and starring in the film Paradise Alley, which is quite the feat all on its own, no matter the quality of the film, while Arnold barely moved the scale, starring in the terrible film Hercules of New York. In his best performance, he basically played himself in Stay Hungry, and he was himself in the documentary Pumping Iron. But the rest are small roles in forgotten films. Sly is out to a commanding lead at 3-0, but I think this is where we'll see a bit of a comeback.
I don't know. I think I will.
The 1980s might be the toughest category to decide. It's here that they both become huge movie stars. Their glistening biceps dominated this decade of excess. Stallone has a great run with First Blood and the 2 Rambo sequels, and 2 more Rocky sequels, 3 and 4, both of which were huge box office hits. But beyond that, it's mostly misses. Cobra and Over the Top are fun in their cheesiness. And he's got great chemistry with Kurt Russell in Tango and Cash. But his stinkers really stink. I'll give the 80s to Arnold for his portrayal of Conan, which is an out-and-out classic of the fantasy genre. And The Terminator was an incredible film and a huge hit, launching his and James Cameron's careers. Predator is a near-action masterpiece, and Commando, Red Heat, and The Running Man are all super fun 80s action films, and he showed he had a comedy side with the hit film Twins. Arnold's back 3-1.
If you're lying to me, I'll be back.
The 90s again is tough. Stallone has mostly moved away from Rocky and Rambo, only making one, the worst film of both franchises, Rocky V in 1990. It was so bad the character wouldn't return for 16 years. He made a couple of good action films with Cliffhanger and Demolition Man, and the well-regarded drama Copland in 1997. Otherwise, it's a lot of pretty unremarkable action films like The Specialist, Assassins, and Judge Dredd. Films that made decent money, but don't hold up to time. With a couple more major stinkers like Oscar and Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
I think I did it because I was trying to get back at Arnold. I heard he was going to do it, so I said, I'm going to do it. And then he went, I tricked you.
Arnold made the classic sci-fi action film Total Recall and followed it up with Terminator 2. That 1-2 punch of films are better than anything Sly made in the 90s. Last Action Hero was a bomb, but it's a well ahead of its time meta spin on the genre, and has been reclaimed by film nerds. Jingle All the Way, while not that great of a movie, has become a bit of a Christmas family film favorite. The rest of his 90s was pretty forgettable, with films like Junior, Eraser, Batman and Robin, and End of Days. But Arnold is making a comeback, now down 3-2.
I just had a terrible thought. What if this is a dream?
Well, then kiss me quick before you wake up.
Sly is gonna win the 2000s on a technicality. Arnold mostly retired from films in 2003 after making Terminator 3. Prior to that was the okay sci-fi action film The Sixth Day and the action thriller Collateral Damage. Stallone learned his lesson and returned to his most famous characters, making the well-regarded Rocky Balboa in 2006 and Rambo in 2008. Get Carter is also a fun little mob revenge flick, and his appearance in Spy Kids 3 as the bad guy the toy maker is also pretty fun. Sly gets another point and is up 4-2.
It's not about the right thing, it's about the smart thing. We won't escape this place otherwise.
We'll mash the 2010s and 20s together into one category. Arnold returned with a bang in 2010 in The Expendibles, which was written, directed, and starred Sylvester Stallone. They appeared together again in parts 2 and 3, with Stallone writing the scripts for each of those. Arnold has been in 2 more Terminator sequels, both of which want to be forgotten by most fans of the series. The Last Stand and Maggie are both serviceable, but he hasn't really made any other major films of note. While Stallone returned as Rocky in 2 Creed films, appeared in 2 Guardians of the Galaxy films in a small role, and Rambo one last time in 2019. Stallone has continued to be much more proficient than Arnold the last couple of decades, giving him a pretty commanding lead 5-2.
What do we call it?
Or do you believe that we all can change the future every second by every choice that we make?
I didn't think so.
Now onto the critical score of their films, where I'll average out the Rotten Tomatoes scores based on the collection of reviews of their films. And since they've both been in a lot of terrible movies in their almost 6 decades of making films, that are going to drastically drag down both of their scores, while also trying to find the line between whether we should count films where they only have a supporting role. What I'll do instead is take the average of their top 10 films they starred in. So Stallone's top 10 starring roles are Rocky, First Blood, Rocky Balboa, Copland, Nighthawks, Rocky II, Cliffhanger, Fist, Expendables 2, and Rocky III. Averaging those out comes to 74% favorable. Arnold's top 10 films are The Terminator, Pumping Iron, Terminator 2, Total Recall, Predator, True Lies, Terminator 3, Red Heat, Commando, and The Running Man, bringing his average to 78%, giving him the win this round. Can he make a comeback down 5-3?
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
Going to the awards category, Arnold was somehow nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Musical or Comedy in Junior, and won a now-defunct category New Star of the Year in 1977 for Stay Hungry. He's never been nominated for an Oscar in any category. While Stallone was nominated for Best Actor and Screenplay Oscars in 1977 for Rocky, and the film won Best Picture, and he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor in 2016 for Creed. He was again nominated twice for Golden Globes for Rocky and won Best Supporting Actor for Creed. Although Stallone did win the Razzie for Worst Actor of the 90s, I'll still give him the win for his double nominations of writer and actor for Rocky and its Best Picture win, kickstarting his career as a major filmmaking force. Stallone is now up 6-3.
And most of all, I want to thank my imaginary friend Rocky Balboa for being the best friend I ever had.
Cultural impact is a category that I've created without any true way to measure it. Stallone's influence on pop culture is massive, his creation of Rocky being the high point of his career, launching a massive film franchise that continues almost 50 years later. He had a major hand in crafting the character of Rambo, who rocked audiences worldwide through 5 films. And then, when most actors of his age would be winding down into smaller supporting roles, he created the Expendibles, which brought together the best action stars of the last few decades into 4 new ass-kicking adventures. Arnold's impact has also been gigantic. He was and remains the world's most famous bodybuilder, basically dragging that sport into the spotlight single-handedly. Then he became the world's biggest movie star for about a decade, from the mid-80s to mid-90s, starring in one of the biggest films of the 90s with Terminator 2. He was Conan, he fought the Predator, and chased down terrorists in True Lies. Then, unbelievably, he became the governor of California. Whatever he's set his mind to, he's achieved. So while Stallone's impact on movies is undeniable, I'm going to give Arnold the win here for his larger reach, climbing to the top of 3 incredibly hard careers: bodybuilding, acting, and politics. And who knows, if he hadn't been born in Austria, he might have become president after his run as governor. It worked for another former actor and California governor, after all.
Everything that I've accomplished in my life, if it's the bodybuilding career, if it's the movie career, becoming governor, the millions of dollars that I made and everything, all because of America.
So the score will end at 6-4, making Stallone the winner. But we're all the winners. For the decades of entertainment they've given to us, 2 men that were raised under tough circumstances, being hardened by that fire, becoming self-determined to build careers in Hollywood, both reaching the absolute heights of stardom and power in show business. They'll both live on as legends for as long as people are gathering around screens to watch movies.
Even though we were very adversarial when we were younger, because we were competitive, became something we realized we're incredibly alike, cut from the same cloth. Now that is a selfie. And now I love the guy.
Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.